About 2 months ago, I ran into an old acquaintance. This was a friend of a friend. What had happened was she had gotten married about 10 years before. So I met her when she wanted to enlist my services for her wedding. However, there was a change of plans. They had to do a destination wedding. So um obviously, so that didn't happen. And after she got married, I mean, her husband got a really really good contract, so they had to move out of state. And about a year later, life was good. She had a baby about a year later, a baby girl, and she started a business after that, in interior decorating. Her business pretty much skyrocketed almost straight away, and things were great. Life was looking up for them. So obviously, because she now got really busy, she had to get a nanny to take care of a child. But the husband wanted her to slow down, to have more children. However, she felt like she was finally building a career in a new town, so she wanted to concentrate on that. So she didn't want to have kids at the time. Anyway, 5 years passed by and everything seemed absolutely fine. So one day she was out of the country and the nanny called her and said the baby was playing and fell. There was just a little bump or something on her head. It wasn't anything serious. So anyway, she called and the baby was fine. She was playing. So she called her husband and her husband was away at work. And she told her husband what had happened and told the husband, please try to get home on time and everything, see if the baby needs to go to the doctors. The husband called home. The nanny said the baby was fine. So he stayed back at work. Anyway, by the time he got back home, everybody had gone to bed. He checked on the baby. Everything seemed fine. By morning, they had to rush the baby to the hospital. Eventually, she passed away due to some aneurysm, internal bleeding. Anyway, they were very distraught. After that, she had to quit her business and everything, and then they started trying to conceive again, but they were just not able to. Apart from that, secretly they blamed each other because she secretly blamed him for not going home to take the baby to the hospital, and he secretly blames her for not having any more children. Eventually, the marriage deteriorated really bad and they just couldn't fix things, so they separated. As she was telling me what happened, something occurred to me that I mean, we've all been through life in the last few years, but everything I considered really terrible experiences suddenly seemed like good news. Why? Because if God were to decide to restore both of us at that time, the distance between me and what I was requiring restoration for will be money. Really, because if I wanted God to restore businesses, it would require money, right? If I wanted God to restore material things, it would require money. If I wanted God to restore money, it would require money, right? But for her, she was needing a miracle. She needed God to restore the years the locust and the cankerworm has eaten in her life, the years she bore a child, raised a child, built a business, built a marriage, and a decade later, she walked away with nothing. Asking God to restore all we've lost over the years is very good prayer. However, it's truly a miracle when the time is available to us to make good use of it. Let me explain. The Shunammite woman in the Christian religion, she was advised by Prophet Elisha to flee to the land of the Philistines to avoid a 7 year impending famine, right? And she obeyed. However, on her return, her home had been taken away, her land, her goods, everything had been taken away. So she went to plead her case to King Joram, and King Joram appointed an official to restore everything she had lost. God had performed a miracle in her life because her restoration and the timing were in perfect synergy. She had time to make good use of it. There was a story I read, please don't quote me because I read it a long time ago. It was about an African American man, and this man was absolutely brilliant. He was a genius, right? So right from his very young age, he had won scholarships and everything. And by the time he got to his mid 20s, he was working in one of the most renowned Fortune 500 companies. He was absolutely brilliant. He was well connected and everything because so many people wanted to work with him. Anyway, by the time he got to his late 20s, thereabout, maybe not so much his 30s, about his late 20s. Like I said, don't quote me. I read this a long time ago, or I saw it a long time ago. he was invited to a house party by his friend. So he attended the house party. When he got there, his friend introduced him to a lady of a different race. And, they talked, they were getting along, they had drinks and everything, they were having a good time as they were talking. So as he had the drink, he realized that he was feeling a bit dizzy. And he could not move. Everything was started getting foggy. So the lady said to him, "Oh no, just sit down here, sit down here." Anyway, eventually he passed out. He didn't know what happened. By the time he woke up to policemen with handcuffs on his hands. Now, he was being charged for assault, sexual assault, and unaliving the lady. By the time he was charged to court, he was to spend a copious amount of years behind bars. Now, he had spent maybe 30 or 40 something years behind bars, and eventually he was released and he was found innocent. He was compensated with a few hundred of thousands of dollars, right? So was given to him as compensation. Now, with that money, maybe he could buy a decent flat, still have some money left to invest and, do one or two things right. But what about the years? What about the years he lost behind bars? It is good prayer to ask God to restore the things you have lost. But if you really want a miracle, if you want God to prove himself, prove his power, then pray to God to restore the wasted years. The wasted years the locust and the cankerworm has eaten. Let me break it down. A certain man, Abraham, and his wife, Sarai, they had been married for a very long time, but they had no children. After about 60 years of marriage, please excuse my loose calculations, right? Sarai gave her handmaid Hagar to Abraham to bear a son by him. And she did conceive. She bore a son and they named him Ishmael. And Sarai felt Ishmael will be the heir to prolong the family name. 13 years later, God told Abraham and his wife Sarai that they would bear a son. It was so hilarious to Sarai that she laughed to herself because she was way past childbearing years, obviously past menopause and all. But God proved himself and restored their wasted years. And how did God do that? He changed their names. He changed Abram, which means exalted father, to Abraham, meaning the father of multitude. And he changed Sarai, which means my princess, to Sarah, which means the princess. A princess to become queen, a mother of many princes yet to be born. Now, the thing is, God cannot lie. If he says that blue carpet in your home is green, by the time you look at it, it'll become green. When he changed their names, they had to answer to their new names. By answering to the mother of princes yet to be born and the father of multitude, their genetics had to respond. Everything that was dead or degenerated in their bodies had to come to life. The womb had to come to life. The menopause had to reverse. Abraham got his virility back and everything came to life. Everything responded to their new names. When God changes your name, he changes your story. If you were called broke, now you'd have to answer to rich. If you were called barren, now you would answer to fruitful. If you were called sick, now you'd answer to being healthy. When years are restored, it starts from the inside of you, your health, your mind, and then flows outwards to your money, your status, and everything else. Now, prayer for restoration for lost items is very good prayer. But if you want a miracle, pray that it restores your wasted years. That way, even God can answer to his name, the great I am, in your life. Namaste.